Are you hungry for more information about Space Engineers 2 and the VRage 3 engine? Well, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're taking a look at the latest developments and updates released from Keen Software House and their developer, Jan Hausek. Now, quick disclaimer before we start, remember there is no official information saying there's going to be a Space Engineers 2, but all the arrows are kind of pointing in that direction. So I just didn't want to get your hopes up. There could just be a giant update for Space Engineers, but it seems very unlikely. So let's start with the really exciting stuff, water. We love water and we can't wait to see what the developers are doing with it. And this screenshot was then released on the 18th of Jan and the community exploded. So there wasn't really much explanation from Jan. He just explained how this was their largest test so far, with this dam that spans a whole valley with hundreds of meters wide, and it captures a massive amount of water from higher ground sources. Looking a bit closer at this screenshot, you'll notice that there's 3 holes that we find out later have been shot by a missile launcher, but notice how the pressure of the different holes vary. So the higher hole has less pressure of water pushing down on it, so you can see it's coming out in a smaller volume, where the lower holes have more pressure, more volume applied to them, and you can see they're shooting out, gushing out from them holes below. Very exciting indeed. What will we create with these sort of water forces? Physics is always such a powerful thing within Space Engineers, so harnessing a new one is going to be very exciting. Now, moving on to the 20th of Jan, there was an even more exciting update, and this was a complete video showing the missiles being shot into the dam. Now, these missiles are shot at varying different points, and of course, like I said before, this is to show the water pressure and how it affects, you know, different amounts of water and the volume of water on the flow rates. There's lots of calculations going on here, and I'm not 100% no, what am I looking at? I'm just excited. This is amazing. This is going to be so cool. What are you going to do with this water, guys? Let me know in the comment section what you're going to try to do. You're going to do some water wheels? Are you going to try to use it to turn turbines? This is really exciting stuff, especially how it then releases and flows down the valley. But let's have a look at a little bit more information that's been released as well. So now we've seen the most exciting part of the update, and you're shivering a little bit in excitement. We'll turn back the clock a little bit. On the 17th of January, Jan then released a picture of icebergs half submerged in the VRage 3 water. Now, as soon as I saw these, the first thing I thought, I don't know about you, was having your own accidental Titanic moment where your ship collides with one of these things and the next minute you're trying to bail water out before the thing sinks. Also, building a secret iceberg base would be really cool, and having like a dockyard inside. The possibilities of things like this are really cool, but Jan also explains that this is a creative use of spawning the asteroid materials. So if it's anything like the previous Space Engineers and VRage 2 engine, these will be static, and I doubt they'll be floating around and causing that sort of hazard, but another way of improving the visuals of their environments. Now, continuing to go back in the post, we got another update from Jan on the 14th of January, and this was an attempt to reduce the repetitive wave patterns on the VRage 3 water surfaces. Now, Jan believes it looks more like the water's boiling now, but the repetitive patterns have decreased, especially from the last update video where the patterns in the water were very clear and repetitive. In the second post, we also see a full day and night cycle, and the world and the water looks a whole lot more realistic, focusing more on the water and the waves. The waves seem more natural rather than a sort of robotic and very predictable pattern that we saw in earlier posts last year. Now, continuing on from that post, Jan posts on the 14th of December that they're in a position where they've improved the VRage 3 voxel planet visuals significantly. They've added lakes, detailed height maps, overlays, clouds, caves, overhangs, and improved the atmosphere. There's a lot of work in progress, like rivers, oceans, new biomes, and better transitions between the biomes as well. So let's read into this post a little bit more, and the first thing that gets me really exciting is the wording that they're working on rivers. Now, how are these rivers going to work? Are they going to flow from a high point down to the ocean like in reality? Is there going to be changing sea levels? Can planets get completely flooded? There's so many options and challenges here. Imagine living on a completely flooded planet, or a planet that is slowly flooding until a point where you have to evacuate from it. The possibilities of survival here are almost endless. Now, going down into the comment section of this post, Jan explains how they are going to be being able to work with water as well. He explains how you can suck water out of tanks and dispose of it elsewhere, and how you can transform it into fuel for hydrogen engines. He also briefly covers how with modding and their new all-in-one editor, pretty much anything that will be possible from a modding side. This is really exciting indeed. Now, in the next post on the 7th of December, Jan shows a beautiful Arctic rift sort of terrain. You're almost going to need a jumper for this terrain. It looks so cold and barren and desolate. He explains how they've got the combination of shadows and reflections, and how the water plays nicely with these super sharp contours, giving that terrain a really sort of rough and natural sort of feel to it. One of the things I really like, I noticed this on the Icebergs as well, is how the snow sort of fades off in the water below. If you've ever been in a cold environment, some of the Nordic countries have it for sure, you can see into these deep blue pools of water and you can see the ice below. It just really sells these environments, and if Keen keep this work up and make these biomes even more interesting and realistic, it'll really feel alive. Now, in the next update on the 5th of December 2023, we get some more information from Jan about blending materials together. He explains how they've improved their depth-based blending of VRage 3 tripler map materials and added some more controls for the artist. So you can see the controls they've got there for blending the materials, and he explains that this looks especially great for tessellated materials up to 20 centimeters depth and varied like rocks. So this is really going to help with blending different substances and materials together. And as we know from VRage 2, there is some areas where terrain suddenly stops abruptly and it just doesn't sell the environment unless it was blended better together. So better blending options is something that would be very nice. Now, we do get some additional posts and videos of this biome showing some of the developments that they've had. They've also got more water and larger lakes that they've integrated into this environment, and it's nice to see that they're building upon the biomes that they've already got as well, and they understand that they need to make them biomes better and what sort of terrain features they can integrate and take inspiration from to make a better environment for players to play in, a place that's both more realistic and also more stunning. There's plenty of times in Space Engineers where I've just stood there and looked around and gone, wow, this place is really damn cool. Not so much, I would say, on the vanilla type planets, but especially on the modded ones. There's some amazing terrain out there. So if they can make their terrain better, then there's going to be a higher chance of players wanting to stick around and build in that location. Now, that brings us to the end of this exciting update video, and it's been thrilling to look at the VRage 3 development, and I'm really excited about the physics and what things these will bring to the table that incorporate more engineering ideas, because Space Engineers is all about engineering things and building things and interacting with this physics-based world. But there is one thing I really want the developers to think about here, and is incorporating some sort of storyline into their next game. It is so important at keeping and retaining players. Giving them something to build to engineer for is the best way of keeping players online and keeping them interacted, or even just getting them started in this game. The amount of players that we've lost over the years just because they've got bored, there's nothing else to do. You jump on with your friends unless you have a goal in mind. You build your stuff up, you get bored and you stop playing. So please have a think about it, Keen, about what you want to do with some sort of story, some sort of quest line, some side quests even. It doesn't have to be a big focus, it just needs to get players a little bit more involved and give them some minor goals to achieve. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and if you enjoyed this video and feel that I've delivered this update video, hit that like button. I'd really appreciate it, and I hope I see you next time.